Welcome. Thank you to all those that already subscribed. We surpassed the 500 mark. Hopefully, when you're watching this, we passed the 5,000 mark. Do you do things because you want to, or do you do things because you have to? And because you have to, is it because you're forced, or because you know there's consequences if you don't? In regards to our relationship with Hashem, when it comes to Rosh Hashanah and the Aseres Yemei Tshuva, the 10 days of Tshuva leading up to Yom Kippur, what's the attitude of a Yid? Is it like, oh, it's a day of judgment, let me do some things differently today? But really, whoever I am, that's the rest of the year. In other words, my real me is a whole year, and Rosh Hashanah, it's a day of judgment, so I probably want to be on my best behavior. Or is it the other way around? And sometimes I slack off, but the real me is on Rosh Hashanah and Aseres Yemei Tshuva, and really the days leading up to that. And in this mimer, I'll recap a little bit. In this mimer, he talks about the psalm that we start saying in Rosh Hashanah, Shir HaMalos Mima'amakim, which is praising about the concept of I call out to you from my depths. And he explains that two types of depths. There's a higher and a lower. Now, a whole year, a person sometimes has the possibility that he just behaves in whatever his mind is interested in or whatever mood the heart is feeling. Hopefully not, but there is this reality of some people who do whatever they want the whole year. And somehow, when it comes to 10 days of Tshuva, starting with Rosh Hashanah, they get really close to Hashem. So close to Hashem, you feel this closeness and you're in the right place. I don't mean just location-wise, but your mind and your focus is there, that it's considered to be panim el panim, face-to-face, which is an expression of a very close relationship. It's not just being close in proximity, but you're facing each other. So the Yid is facing Hashem, meaning my desire, my interest, I'm fully present. Not just, yeah, what did you say? Not even looking at you. Okay. So this happens during Aseres Yemei Tshuva. Now, to understand that better, and really to understand our question of what's the real me, we need to understand what is a neshama of a Yid. What's this makeup of the soul? Now, it's not like the common misconception that says that the soul is a certain energy that you have, which basically is, all it is a life source, including an intellectual side of it, that's in you, and that's how you think. And it's a concept which could grasp godliness. It's your portal to divine, thanks to this neshama that you have. Just like you grasp other things, you grasp godliness. That's not what the neshama is about. The neshama is a chelik elikami mal mamish. It's literally a part of Hashem. And that part of His essence is in ourselves. It's not just in us, but the neshama is that part. So within Yisrael, within the Yid, you have this element that's really part of Hashem Himself. To understand this, we have to appreciate that there are two parts to this neshama, or two manifestations. There's a Yaakov and a Yisrael. And they represent two modes, which he explains, Jacob mode and the Israel mode, within the same neshama. And they're both necessary, there's no way around it, but we have to appreciate these two stages or parts or manifestations of how this neshama works. To understand that, he said, let's explore a verse in the prophets that says, Haaretz, what's the lashon he uses? Hashamayim kisi v'haaretz hadaim raglei, which means the heaven is my throne, my chair, and the earth is my footstool. And he explains that to say like this, that there's a higher level and a lower level. Now angels, which is a pretty high level, they're constantly in this dedicated state to Hashem. There's none of this like I'm not in the mood or I don't want to or maybe not today. They're fully there. Their entire existence is what does Hashem want from me and how do I connect with Him? Now, when you leave the mode or the area of angels and you come down into this world, now it's not anymore about that devotion to Hashem, so to speak. It's not so revealed. Obviously, there's godliness all over, and God is everywhere. But you don't feel like in the realm of angels, you don't feel in this world that same revealed state of godliness. Okay, so Again, we're using this to understand what a neshama is, so we can understand better this depth and this face-to-face relationship that happens during the 10 days of Tshuva, starting with Rosh Hashanah, culminating with Yom Kippur. And the very fact that you say that there's a possibility to have a change, that in heaven there's one revelation of godliness. You come into this world, it's a different revelation of godliness. That it seems to be a problem because we know that Hashem is unchanging, and you can't have this reality where if you go in this area, God is revealed. You come there, He's concealed. What's this? He develops, He changes, He diminishes. Chas v'shalom. How does this work? So to understand that, he introduces a very fundamental concept which he talks about very often, and we mention it a lot in these classes, and that is there are two manifestations of godly energy. There's Sovev and Memale, transcendent and immanent. They're not changing. It's just a different beam, if you will, of shining of what happens. And let's explain. So Sovev means a shine from Hashem into this world in a way that is a circle. So it just says, okay, we're giving godly energy to this. Higher and lower don't matter. I'm completely surrounding this, giving it the energy, the warmth, the holiness, the godly force that it needs. It's coming. It doesn't matter what's on the receiving end. It has some minuses to that because if you're just going to gush energy, you can't, infinite energy, you're not going to be able to have any finite beings and so on. And for that reason, there's a second level, as our sages tell us, Basara Mamares Nivra Ha'ilam, the world was created with 10 utterances, let there be light, and so on. Each one of these utterances represent a condensing of this godly force in a way that becomes not finite, but much more packageable. And it's that level where you say, hey, it's concealed. It's not that Hashem changed. He focused on this direction versus that direction. Sovev versus Memale. Now, okay, so now let's do a little inside. The line starts with we call Zayuvan, halfway down the middle. We call Zayuvan. So Shemayim represents Sovev Kol, that's the transcendent level of godly revelation. Oretz, earth, represents the Memali Kol Amun level. It's the lower level where it's more concealed. It represents the imminent level of Hashem's revelation, which means it's somewhat limited, at least from our perspective, and channeled. Those two things represent Yisrael, Yaakov and Yisrael. Two ways how a Yid behaves, or how a Yid feels, or how a Yid's consciousness is. There's the Jacob mode, and there's the Yisrael mode. And we're called both, because they're both accurate in different times or different ways. Heaven represents Yisrael. The Yaakov b'chinas Naran, Amaslav Shebekelim, Zel b'chinas Ba'aretz Hadem Chulu. Hashemayim represents Yechida, which is Yisrael, and Yaakov, which is the lower three levels of the soul, represent Nefesh Ruach Neshama, which go into Kelim, and that's B'Haaretz Hadem Raglei. Okay. V'zeu v'hinei K'moisha b'chlolos Achayis Yesh Beis b'chinas Seviv Kol and Memale Kol. And just like in the general Chayis, you have two levels. You have a Seviv and a Memale, as we explained, transcendent and immanent. Similarly, in the Shameis Yisrael, in the souls of the Jewish people, we also, actually the souls of man, we also have these two levels, a Seviv and a Memale. And that's why it says, when Hashem created a man, it says, He created him B'tzalmai, B'tzelem Elikim, in his form, in the image of God. His image of God. What are these two expressions? One is a Seviv, one is a Memale. One is a Yisrael way, one is a Yaakov way. And they both exist within the person. Now, what we're getting at is, when we return to Hashem, it's not that we have this new part of us that woke up, or we felt, hey, day of judgment, you better get into it. The Yisrael part of us was woken up. So, I have it in me. I'm just operating on the Yaakov level for the most part. And now comes a special time. Rosh Hashanah says, my Yisrael level wakes up, and that's conscious and active and felt. So it's not that I flipped, or I wasn't this, now I was, or I changed, and it's the real me, not the real me. The real me is both. But what I'm getting to is I'm revealing a layer, which I already had. It was more of the heaven side of me, which is in me. I have it. It's who I am. And that is I tried to skip the parentheses, and it keeps on coming up. So you have Seviv Klamen Amalek Klamen, and you see this in the pasuk, B'tzalmei B'tzalmei Lekim, and these are the two levels of Yaakov and Yisrael. Bechinas Yaakov, just skip the next brackets. Bechinas Yaakov is Yud Ekev. The word Yaakov is made up of two parts, Yud Ekev, which means Yud, which represents the wisdom of Hashem, meaning a high level of spiritual energy, referred to as wisdom. It's obviously not wisdom, but it's referred to as wisdom, is Ekev. Remember, Yaakov, Yud Ekev is the heel. The heel is the lowest part of the person. So this expresses a level where the godliness, the Yud, is all the way down in the Ekev and the heel of the person. So Yud is Chachma, Dainu HaSeichel, Mashu Masig Elikos. He grasps godliness, and this that shines and sustains the body in the 248 limbs. It's only a Ekev from the Neshama, B'chinas Ragli. So the level of Yaakov says, yeah, I got godliness in me. I know it, I feel it, but it's a very, very low level. You know, if you prick the bottom of your heel, the skin is so thick, it's possible it's not even going to hurt you, if you even feel it, because it's so numb. In a similar manner, that level of godliness is so reduced that it's not very active in my day-to-day. It's there, but well, it just is. But then you have Yisrael, who li reish, to me is the head, and that represents the level of the neshama, which is higher than the body, and higher than seichel. And that in that level, I am one with Hashem, without any type of separation. It's almost like I can't be separated. Now he's going to ask later, if you can't be separated, why do we find references that you do get separated? Hopefully this week we can continue that. But the point is that there's two terms to the Jewish people. There's a Yaakov and a Yisrael, and they represent two relationships, or two aspects to a relationship. There's one relationship where it's Ekev, it's a heel. The Yud is there, but it's very, very low, and it's just. Then there's the Yisrael part, and the Yisrael part is where it's in my head. It's top, front, and center. So a whole year, I have the potential that I'm only operating on an Ekev way. Hopefully not. Hopefully I also have the Yisrael part, but the Yisrael is there. So as Meitshuvah just gets revealed. That level which is getting revealed says it can't be separated. I'm connected. This is who I am. Okay, it was a little hidden. It was playing out in an Ekev way. So when we say a call out to you from the depths, what we're saying is, this is me. I'm here. It's not that I was someone else. Not that I got scared. It was just revealed. It's a very important thing to keep in mind when you see people changing. Not to, whether it's in relationships with other people or it's with a relationship with Hashem, not to say, oh, that's fake, or that's a layer, or he just changed. It's much more powerful when you realize he had it all along, or she had it all along. It was just, for whatever reason, it was hidden, it was concealed, he didn't feel it, but it's very different when you say it wasn't there altogether. Being that it's days of Slichas, we're going to shorten today's class and start Slichas. Join us again soon. Like, share, subscribe.